Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches. Today I'm going to be talking about the 1959 family science fiction adventure film, Journey to the Centre of the Earth. And the film begins in 1880, where Professor Lindenbrook, a geologist at the University of Edinburgh, is given a piece of volcanic rock as a gift from his admiring student Alec McEwen. Inside the rock, Lindenbrook discovers a plumb bob, a tool, basically, bearing a cryptic inscription. After deciphering this message, Lindenbrook and McEwen learn that the plumb bob was left by a scientist, and accordingly, the message were left by a scientist who, almost 100 years earlier, found a passage to the centre of the Earth by descending into a volcano in western Iceland. Lindenbrook and McEwen immediately set out to repeat this epic journey, rightly believing that, if true, it would be a huge scientific achievement and a great boost to their own careers, of course. The two explorers have, however, underestimated the challenges of their quest. While they recognise the descent will be a dangerous and difficult one, they are frankly under-equipped for the journey, and they've also not considered the threat of human competitors, an oversight that will soon complicate their adventure in multiple unexpected ways. Will Lindenbrook and McEwen reach the centre of the Earth? And I guess more importantly, will they manage to return from the journey alive? So Journey to the Centre of the Earth was a critical and commercial success at the time of release, prompting 20th Century Fox to produce more similarly themed movies over the subsequent years. The Lost World, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and 5 Weeks in a Balloon, the last of these, again being adapted from a Jules Verne story. The critical consensus when this film came out was that it was a silly but fun film with everything audiences would want from such a production. Heroic characters, menacing villains, scary monsters, big grandiose sets, and plenty of special effects. These days, of course, the film looks and feels a bit dated. It is heading towards its 65th birthday this year, after all. Still, it remains at its heart a rollicking, if improbable, adventure story. So, let's talk about some of its most notable features. And let's start with the source material. Ostensibly, this movie is based on the Jules Verne novel of the same name, but I think it would be more accurate to call it inspired by than adapted from. While the three main characters share the names of those from Verne's book and their planned destination is the same, virtually everything else has been changed. I mean, firstly, there's a minor change. The German protagonists of the novel have become Scottish in the film. That's not that big a deal. I've seen claims this was done because the Scots were considered the best field geologists in the world at the time the film was made, but I subscribe to the rather more prosaic explanation that a German hero was not going to fly with American audiences, or British audiences for that matter, in 1959, less than 15 years since the end of World War II. A second and more significant change is that the expedition is given a human antagonist. This is a rival explorer who murders a colleague of Lindenbrook's and tries to frame our hero for the crime. I'm honestly rather ambivalent about the addition of the villain. I think that the film is at its best when it's pitting the adventurers against the natural dangers they encounter, and the villain's eventual exit from the film is a bit on the weak side. It's also a bit of an issue that the villain seems to be the only one who has approached the dangers and opportunities of this expedition with appropriate seriousness. The script pretty much has to make him a reprehensible jerk to stop you from saying, this guy should probably be in charge. He's actually taking this seriously. One other change the film makes from Verne's novel is that it adds a major female character, Carla Gotterberg, the feisty widow of Lindenbrook's murdered colleague. The widow Gotterberg proves a refreshingly effective and useful addition to the expedition. Unlike a lot of films of this era, and for that matter later ones, the most prominent female character has more to do than simply needing to be rescued from time to time. So thumbs up for that. The role of Carla Gotterberg would in fact be the most successful of actor Arlene Dahl's career, though it was apparently not one she much enjoyed. She complained of heat prostration while wearing a heavy parka during a summer heatwave and actually passed out unconscious for 30 minutes after the filming of the movie's giant whirlpool scene. So whilst it was a high point from a career success perspective, probably not a personal high point for her. I think for today's audiences, the biggest weakness of this film will be its pacing. It takes rather a long time to get to the subterranean shenanigans, and that its effects, particularly its creature effects, have aged very poorly indeed. While the movie does jettison a lot of Verne's monstrous encounters, because I've read the book and there are quite a lot of them, it does retain too a pair of supposed Dimetrodons engaged in battle with each other, and a giant lizard that menaces the group after they discover the sunken remains of Atlantis. It is quite the kitchen sink film. Both encounters are implemented by taking regular reptiles, a couple of rhinoceros iguanas with prosthetics glued onto them, and a tegu lizard with paint on it, and using forced perspective to try and make them appear much larger than they really are. Neither of these scenes is very convincing, with the iguana scene being particularly undermined by how flimsy the prosthetics appear to be as the two creatures writhe against one another. Good stop motion effects would, I think, have aged much more gracefully, but they would also have been a lot more expensive and time consuming to produce. And let's be honest, I doubt anyone in 1959 was worrying about what audiences in 2024 would make of the special effects. Ultimately, this is a fun family adventure, if perhaps a little bit staid and lacking in thrills by modern standards. Next time, not all older movies are quite so family friendly as 1969's The Babysitter demonstrates. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you've seen today's movie, let me know what you thought of it.